Good morning, everybody. Check out this cool sunrise. Look at these colors. Isn't that beautiful? It's gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. It's really cool today. Very cold day, chilly day. And there was frost on the frost on everything. So the grass looks all white. And they're talking about we may get a couple inches of snow later, maybe Thursday, but maybe not. But maybe less, but maybe rain, and maybe more. They say in Michigan that if you don't like the weather in Michigan, wait 5 minutes. And I mean, we have had 6 inches of snow on the ground in February, and then a warm day, 60, 70 degree day, and all of that snow is melted. So we've had that happen. But I wanted to share this sunrise with you on my way into church. And I wanted to give a little bit of encouragement to parents. Parenting is so challenging. It can be so challenging. It can be worth it, yes. And it can be very challenging. And I'm rooting for you. So I've got a couple things I'm posting on my page lately that, gosh, that's a beautiful sunrise. Look at the sunrise. That I thought might just help with your job as a parent. We get this newborn and we're like, oh, they're so beautiful, they're so cute. We count all their fingers and their toes and we look at their cute little nose and their little lips and their little cheeks and say, oh, it's so cute. And then they don't sleep through the night. Or then they don't want to nurse, or they don't want the pacifier, or they don't want the bottle, or you can't comfort them for whatever reason. Oh, a trick. Here's a trick. If you've got a newborn or an infant, my mom always taught me, she had a lot of kids as siblings and younger siblings, and she also babysat a lot, and she also took on foster babies as well, until they could find homes for them or they could return to their parents. But her tip, which I love, and I just want to share this with you, is if you don't know what's going on with your baby, you start at the top of the head and you work your way down their body to look for things that might be bothering them. So top of their head might be, they've got a fever. Maybe now you're working your way down, they've got an earache. Maybe they're teething. Maybe they've got food stuck in their little folds underneath their chinnings, their multiple chins. And, maybe that's bothering them. Coming down, maybe they are snuggled too tight. Maybe they're snuggled too loose. It's so hard when they can't tell us. Sometimes they get a hair stuck around their finger and it hurts because it's cutting off the circulation, but you don't necessarily know that until you actually do this inspection going down the body to see what's going on with the baby. Sometimes they might get a little hair around their toe as well. That can happen as well. And a lot of times you don't necessarily look at the whole baby when you're changing a diaper or you're changing their clothes, because you got a lot of other things going on. But again, when you're wrestling with something, you may have to go all the way down the body. Check their diaper. Is it dry? Have they not urinated for a while? They might be dehydrated, and that can be miserable. Have they not pooped in a while? Maybe they're constipated, or maybe they have loose stools, so their tummies are hurting. Check their hips, move their feet, like hold their feet and then move them like a bicycle, and see what kind of response you got. Sometimes there's gas in them, or there's an upset tummy that gets relieved with the motion of their feet. They talk about morning constitutional. So if an adult goes for a drive or a walk after breakfast, it gets them moving, gets their intestines and stuff moving. So anyway, that's my real quick tip for the newborns. But anyway, parents, I know it's hard. I know it's very challenging. And a lot of times you're like, am I ever going to get to sleep again? Am I ever going to get to shower again? Am I ever going to get to, oh gosh, you name it. Can I talk on the phone without being interrupted? Things like that. And for the younger ones, it stinks, but they have to be trained on that. So whatever you teach them by action or non-action is what they're going to do. They're going to pick up on that. Oh, there's that sunrise again. Look, a new day. Joy comes in the morning. Every day is a new day. We can try again as we parent imperfectly, because we're human and we have human kids. So nothing will be perfect, even though you see this on Facebook and Instagram and, you know, your neighbors and your friends and your people at church and whoever else. They all have the perfect child doing the perfect things, but they don't necessarily post the fails. They don't post when the infant somehow gets into the flour and the salt and the chocolate and smears it all over the kitchen floor. Or, in the case of one of mine, undoes her diaper in the crib and proceeds to paint with her bowel movements all over the crib, etc. Actually, no, it was on her bed. Yeah, because she could get out of bed by that time. It was in a crib. She was in like a little toddler bed. And so she got it on her bed. And she even got it in the heat vents. Oh my gosh, it was terrible. So, I mean, we cleaned and we cleaned and we cleaned and we cleaned. Well, I cleaned and cleaned and cleaned and cleaned because at the time I was raising the kids on my own. And every time the furnace came on, there was still some of that scent, and it was just terrible. So I understand parenting. I understand how kids can really drive you to your last nerve, and I understand sometimes, you know, we respond to a situation and it wasn't necessarily the best reaction, or we react to a situation instead of handling it, and sometimes we'll beat ourselves up, and you don't have to do that. Oops, there's no more sunrise right now that way. I'm going north here. There. All right. So, anyway, you don't have to beat yourself up. You can try again in an hour. You can try again in a couple hours or the next day. And you can apologize to your child and say, you know, Mommy shouldn't have yelled so loud. Or Mommy shouldn't have put her I don't know, coffee cup next to the edge of the table. That wasn't a very wise choice, was it? And anyway, I don't know if you knew that about me, but I had two children that were very young. They were 2 and 7 months old when we got a divorce. And then I had another child as a single mom. So I have a baby daddy somewhere. And then I started dating a man who had 2 teenagers. I think they were 12 and 14 at the time we got married. Or no, they were 14 and 16 when we got married, I believe. Something like that, very close to that, teenagers. And he was raising them on his own. And so when we got married and then combined houses, it was so fun. Did you catch that sarcasm indicator? That was a challenge too. That was a real big challenge too, because he had been he'd been doing his parenting style for so long, and I'd been doing my parenting style for so long. And when we got together and combined households, not only did we have the kids that were like, you know, all vying for attention, but then we also would second guess ourselves. We second guess the other parent, because we were the only ones that were actually doing the parenting of the kids, and it was very challenging. So I understand parenting. I understand being a single parent. I think it was about 7 years I was a single parent. I think. divorced in 98, 99. I can't remember the divorce time. I remember the marriage time. That was 93. I don't remember what year I got divorced, which is fine. But I parented for quite a while, several years. And then so did my husband. He parented for several years as well. And he's a Navy chief. So order is important to him or discipline is important to him when it comes to raising the kids. Order is more important to me, knowing where everything is, everything in its place, having a plan, looking ahead, and doing that kind of thing. So his strengths were good, my strengths were good, our weaknesses were terrible. But we did the best that we could with who we were at the time and with how we were raised at the time. Because how else are you going to necessarily learn? I mean, yes, there are parenting books out there. Yes, there are parenting experts out there. But nobody has the exact same child as you. They just don't. There is no way. There's no way for everyone to know exactly what to do in every situation. Sometimes, oh, wait, there's a sunrise again. Let me flip it. There you go. Sometimes the best coping mechanism is laughter. Sometimes you're so angry about something or frustrated or whatever that like you can't help but just laugh. And that's okay. You can do that. You know what's right for your child. And it's really challenging nowadays. Especially like in the advent of social media and the advent of like everybody having a cell phone. So here's the story for you. My daughter was turning, I think, 12, maybe? And this is not a time when everybody had cell phones yet. All kids did not have cell phones yet. And my youngest sister showed up at the door with a present for her when she turned 12, and it was a cell phone. And we were not about to have them have cell phones yet. We were not ready for that. Again, like I said, she was born in 95. So this is before all kids had cell phones, no matter what the age is, or iPads or anything like that. And we had to turn her away with that cell phone. We had to say, I'm so sorry, but she's not ready for that. We don't want them to have cell phones yet. And I think we allowed them to have cell phones once they were in high school. And they also didn't have like iPads. I mean, they played video games and they watched TV. We watched movies and those kinds of things. But they were not immersed in technology like the kids are today. I mean, from the time they're like 1, you can get toys that have all that technology in it. And 3, you can get an iPad, or they can put on the cartoons that they love. It's very different. Very, very different. And then there's things like Snapchat, and I'm not dating myself. I'm not going to name off all the ones because I might date myself. But the influence of the outside world on kids at all ages is so strong. So it just makes parenting a lot more challenging. Shoot, I'm gonna have to wrap this up shortly. And I understand that, and I am rooting for you. Whatever it takes for you to feel good about what you're doing as a parent, or for you to forgive yourself as a parent, that's what I'm rooting for you, because it's very challenging. And so with that said, I'm putting out just a couple of posts on my page on Facebook called The Lazy Northern Gardener. Oh, it's the same one you're watching right now. I'll be putting out a couple things to help you out just a little bit. One of them I just posted, I think this morning, was a chore chart where there are certain chores that if they do it, they get to do a little check mark, which is just like school. And apparently, educators, when they do that at school, they're onto something, because every time they make a check mark, every time we as adults make check marks, we check something off a list, we get a little hit of dopamine. And dopamine is the feel-good hormone. Woohoo! So I'm not saying get your kids high, but I'm saying, hey, give them access to dopamine, or consider it. Just consider it. Think about maybe starting to use a chore chart if you don't already, and then letting them have those check marks at the end of the day, or as they go about their day, and then they have something to be proud of that they have done themselves. And I know it's difficult, especially at first. It's really, really difficult to get them to do things, but you would be surprised if you continue to reinforce it. And it could be as simple as, Brian, trash. And it doesn't have to be a lecture. I'm just saying. But the more that you reinforce what your expectations are with them, the more they're going to want to do it. And, there we go. The more they're going to want to do it, and they're going to start fighting each other to do it. Like, hey, that's my job. No, that's my job. Mom, so-and-so's doing my job. Well, you know, that kind of thing. That's going to result in that for sure, squabbles. But this is something cool. So I also put in, I'm also posting a couple like charts as far as chores that are appropriate for their ages. So if you're worried, like, wait a minute, I don't know if I can let my 7-year-old pull the trash, or my teenager mow the lawn, you know, there's things like that that you can take a look at, and then you make decisions based on what you see, or, you know, whatever you decide. And if you ever get the chance, watch that show Supernanny. I think it's on Netflix now. Oh. So if you happen to watch one of those shows and you start identifying with the situation in those homes as your home, then look at the techniques that they use, which is going to be a lot like school. Because in school, there's set expectations about what happens when, who does what, whose turn is it, things like that. And it's, and when everybody knows what the expectations are, it's just going to be a lot easier on the family. And again, there doesn't have to be lectures. I mean, you could point to the chore and say, Sue, Brian. And I found some of the techniques that they use on Supernanny. I have to talk about that too real quick, and then I got to get inside. But one of the things they do on Supernanny is when she's first going through with the family, after she talks to them and observes them and stuff, when she's first going through with the family, she confiscates everything electronic, like everything. And of course, you know, the stress level gets higher because everyone's like, oh my gosh, how am I going to cope? I can't do this. What am I going to do? Oh my gosh. But then they also start seeing each other as a family and family members. And they start noticing what's going on. And then they start wanting to, you know, put some of these techniques into place because they get results. It's amazing. But anyway, you do you. You do your family. It's your family. You know, I have nothing to say about your family. I just want to let you know I'm rooting for you. I support you. And, and the challenge is real. You're not crazy. You're not crazy. Stop looking and comparing. Don't stop looking at Instagram and Facebook and comparing your family to the other families. They're not reporting on everything that goes on in that house. You know that. You know that in your head, know it in your heart, and understand that you don't have to compare yourself to other people. And, you don't have to do exactly what everyone else is doing either. You do you, and you do your family. But I am supporting you as a parent, whether you're a single parent, whether you're a couple parent, whether you're a widow, whatever it might be. If you're raising kids and you're working with kids and you're feeling the stress, I understand that. And anyway, I just put a couple things out there. I'll be putting a couple things out there about different jobs and stuff that kids can do because they can help out too. And they feel actually good about helping. And it can take, I mean, it can be stressful at first, but it can take some of the stress off of you if you want to try it. Just as another tool. So, gotta go. Love you guys. Happy Sunday. Over here, it's beautiful. I showed you the sunrise. And joy will come in the morning. Bye.